Hey dudes, welcome back to another episode of our Rhomas Men's Team podcast. You are about to listen to one of our prior team meetings. If you ever want to join one of our live sessions that we have every Monday and Friday, head over to rhomas.com. That's RHOMAS.com and put your email in and we will send you a live link every time we record. We generally record on Mondays and Fridays. So if you ever want to be on the actual podcast, like we bring men up all the time to talk about their goals, talk about their obstacles, etc., head over to Rhomas.com. And then also, if you want to help support the channel grow and also have access to exclusive content, book reviews, extra whiteboard sessions, etc., and some coaching sessions, head over to Patreon.com and support us. We would love it. But if not, no biggie. We'll see you on the live sessions. Later, dudes. Enjoy this podcast.
We are live and recording. As you can see, I've switched my position. I'm up in your fucking face right now. What are you guys going to do about this? No, actually, just a quick little W. I was going to post it in the Discord, but got my dual monitor set up. So
damn, tech head.
I got some serious computational power right now, so I'm very excited.
What kind of computer did you get?
I don't know what it's called. I forget. It's a ABS or something. But Butterly hooked me up. Butterly was like, "Look, this is something I think you would probably need in terms of specs." So I just got that.
Nice. Have you started using it at all yet?
Dude, I luckily Brittany helped me hook up the monitors. I got stumped on the monitors because I hooked it up to the. There's like different ports in a computer. There's like the display port, and there's also like the USB picture ports that don't go to a picture. Dude, I don't know. I plugged it in, it didn't work, and then Brittany fixed it. So yes, I've set it up.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it was pretty. I got totally stumped. I was about to return them. I'm like, this is crazy. So yeah, I got dual monitors set up, and the whole thing I think will be pretty cool for the Matt and Shane's Patreon of setting up an online GTA bike. Apparently, I learned I can set up a biker gang, which is
nice.
So I can
childhood dream.
Sell drugs online in a fantasy world, which would just be so fun. So that was something I've been really like trying to figure out in terms of like, because I set up this tier system on Patreon, which I was doing it as an experiment, not knowing that you can't like revoke it once it's up. But yeah, so I've been trying to figure out what to do for the $5 tier, and now I finally figured it out. Motorcycle gang. So
oh man, have you ever tried to tell like an old dude some of that stuff? You know, like sit your dad down, want to take him out to coffee next week, and be like, "What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an online drug ring that's internet based, and just see where the conversation goes."
That's fake. It's totally fake, and it's just fun. It's insane. I mean, I would love for that somehow to eventually be able to make real money. I think people are working on this, where you can eventually start to make real digital currency within video game setups, and I don't know how that works, but that'd be pretty fun.
Interesting.
But for the meantime, it'll just be fun running around with like 40 people just causing mayhem on a video game, which would be pretty cool.
That's awesome. We live different lives, my friend. We definitely live in some ways. We have enough of a Venn diagram, but in other ways, we live different lives, which is awesome.
Sure. Yeah, man. I think that's the best. I really think, we're tied together in principle. Our flowers just look different, dude. It's no big deal.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So yeah, Matt and I were talking before we hopped on here that we want if Kaizen Roger is up for coming on. He posted something to the Discord this week that was showed how much he had to invest in his career and double down on himself. So it'd be great to have him on. And I think it would be the first time I'm ever meeting Kaizen Roger.
It's been a long time coming. Kaizen's the man. It's unbelievable how much this dude rocks. What's up, dude?
What's up, man?
It's going down. Look at that setup, dude. I told you.
Oh, it's on some sort of boom mic. Oh,
yeah, man.
Or boom arm. Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude. Kaizen, what's up, dude? Me and Kaizen have talked extensively. I'm glad you guys are meeting because Kaizen is a high level dude.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing. So nice to meet you virtually, brother. I see the pictures and the success and all that stuff, and it's just fucking awesome. I think, and dude, I feel like the videos and pictures of you in the weight room are pretty beastly.
Not really.
He just shrugs it off. It's not a big deal. He's like, those are warm-up reps, bro. He's like, I don't post the real pics. Hell yeah, man.
Tell us what you do. What do you do? I've actually never understood exactly what you're up to. I know you're recording stuff on drones right now.
Yeah. I started flying drones professionally. Like I started doing my own kind of stuff with that. So you need a Part 107 to do that. And a Part 107, you have to go to like a FAA facility to get that license, and you take the test there. And when I went and I got it, I was around a whole bunch of people that were like literally already pilots, and they were like, "Yeah, since we're pilots, we just have to pay like $50 extra, and we get that endorsement on our license." So that was kind of like my inkling into moving forward with it. And now what I do is I fly drones. A lot of the times it's for like power grid companies or like infrastructure. So we'll go and do inspections, whereas normally they would have to like walk miles and miles and miles and then climb up these towers that are like hundreds of feet tall. And we're just from wherever we're at, being able to fly up and take pictures. It's just a lot safer and it's cheaper. And they send us around different states, checking different lines. Sometimes I have like emergencies and we'll have to go help them figure out where stuff's down to like restore power for like hospitals and stuff.
Fuck, dude.
That's so wild.
How'd you get into that is the question.
Dude, this guy that I met randomly, he was a sergeant in the Air Force, and he was flying missions from Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada overseas in like Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff. And he was telling me about, he flew like the Predator drones, and he was telling me that there's a civilian side to drone technology, and this is like years ago. And I started looking into it more after I talked to him about it. And then I randomly went, there's a cafe that has an airport like next to it, and they had this little pamphlet that was talking about like flight lessons and stuff, and in the back of it they had how to get your drone license. And I just started looking into it and then figured out, all right, I need to study this. These are what they'll ask you for the test. And honestly, it takes like a week if you study it and just practice. And you can go get your 107 and make money with drones. Like a lot of people do it for like real estate or like videography and stuff.
Yeah.
They're using it a lot more.
Interesting. So just real quick, are you allowed, what's your background?
So it's pretty diverse. Like I started doing more like factory stuff when I was like 18.
Mm-hmm.
And then the place that I worked for sent me to a lot of different trainings. So if you've ever heard of like Six Sigma,
mm-hmm.
It's like quality control. A lot of that came from like Toyota, but they used it in like a lot of different applications now.
Yeah.
Like they're using it for like testing NASA's missile silos for like their specifications. So I went for Six Sigma training and learned about Kaizen, Six Sigma, and all that. At that time, I would say like 2009 or something like that, I was in charge of a bunch of different stuff for this factory that I was working for. And I just decided to stop doing that because I wasn't meeting people. I learned about like pickup artists and stuff from 4chan of all places, and I got real deep into it. And I started doing sales, like specifically to work on my ability to go out and communicate with people and socialize and build that like that muscle basically a lot more by forcing myself to go out and interact more. I was going out at night. Like I would work all day going doing sales, and then at night I would go out to bars and clubs and practice talking to people, and I would do it sober, like just drinking water and shit.
Yes.
And then I got to the point where I met some people, like, and I went to a couple of these conventions in like Chicago and a couple other places, and they told me about these programs they were doing where they would have like professional pickup artist coaches take you out and do stuff. And so I was at that time, from like 2011 on, that was my goal, to be a coach. And I worked with a couple guys that got me this sales job in Cincinnati. So I moved down there and I started going out like every day, every night. We're going out and practicing this stuff. And then I met some guys in Chicago again, and it was during their polar vortex. So I got stuck there, which happened to like work out because I talked to these guys who later were like involved with some stuff in Vegas. And I ended up like right around that time, I quit my job that I was at because my apartment lease was coming up. I was just kind of done at that point. I didn't really want to do logistics sales anymore. And so I moved out to Vegas and worked for this company, RSD, as a pickup artist coach for basically like 3 years. Did that for a while. It's like a big crossover between that and like self-help, which is more like what they're doing now. It's less about like the dating side and more about like personal development as a whole, like overcoming like past traumas and stuff like that, and kind of releasing that to kind of bring out the best version of people. And then from that, there's a longer story that I don't have time for, but I'll post it in one of the podcasts that I did before. But I came back to Ohio. I did some insurance stuff, and then that's when I started getting into drone technology.
Dude, I've got a ton of questions, Matt, but yeah, I'll let you lead the charge on questions.
No, I've heard this, so I kind of knew the deal. But yeah, for me, I've always just like dug Kaizen's well-roundedness, because that's like an intense training that nobody ever thinks to undertake. Which like I'm gonna go learn how to just deal with people, because like he said a ton of stuff. I do the Church of Dogology all the time. He's always in it, and he's constantly hitting us with these little things, of these little like pieces of bits and sayings and wisdom and all this stuff. And I'm always just like, dude. So.
Yeah. So yeah, because this took a completely different turn than in an awesome way. Kaizen, do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Yeah.
So I got to imagine that the dudes listening to this are fascinated, particularly with the pickup artist part. If you had to synthesize maybe a few highlights or something that you would say, here are the few things that move the needle disproportionately, what would those be? In terms of you had to help out a guy on the squad, saying, okay, if you're trying to get into the dating world or get into that pickup artist world, what would you advise him or her, or him, I guess?
There's that can get really deep really fast, but I posted it a few days ago, the 6 steps if you're like actually trying to go out and practice that kind of stuff, which I think Ray said that it like crosses over to a lot of different stuff where you're going out, you try to approach as many people or do whatever as much as possible.
So volume.
Build off of each interaction where you're gaining momentum, limit the time in between. No matter what happens each time, find something funny or positive about it, no matter what happened. And then start off like short and sweet in the beginning, and then towards the end, really, really just push it, go harder. So like as an example in like sales, like if you're doing cold calls or something, you'll go through periods where it feels like everybody you talk to is just kind of like not into it, and that could really like wear on you. But if you keep a positive attitude about it and just kind of laugh about stuff and build momentum, you get kind of numb to like the rejection side of it, and you're able to kind of persist a little bit more in some spots where you'll start to get kind of a feel for it.
Yeah, I always like the sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the one thing I always like is, because a lot of the, when you talk about the PUA stuff, it gets kind of like people almost, well, I would say a lot of times put it under some form of almost like predatory lens, where it's like you're using like trickery and like, biohacking to do stuff. But whenever I talk to Kaizen, his, approach to, what again he says is kind of like it's not just like, I'm just obsessed with getting pussy and I'm going to wear like a feather in my head and try to get pussy. It's like, he's always talked about just bringing, and it's funny, I use this too, because I get like weirded out in social settings pretty easily, of just being, not needing anything from anyone there and just trying to bring like some form of like positive energy to wherever you are, and like how that kind of will naturally kind of attract, whether it's just you just want to talk to people somewhere, or you just want to stop feeling like weird and isolated and alone, of just not being like, I need this person to talk to me, or like, well, just like showing up and just being like, hey, how's everybody here doing? I'm having fun. It's like such a simple, silly thing, but it's like when I go out, I always think about that. Like, am I projecting some weird need in the setting I'm in, or am I just kind of being like, hey, how's everybody doing?
Yeah, it's like that. I think it's in the Bible where he says, my cup runneth over.
Yeah.
You don't want to be going out looking for validation or positive emotion from other people. You want to be your own source of that. and being able to share that with other people in a way that people naturally gravitate towards that. They call it like being the warm end of the pool. Like when you go out and people are like having fun somewhere or like joking around and laughing, like subconsciously everybody's kind of attracted to that and they want to kind of like be a part of that group or that cool, whatever positive emotion. And if you're just able to do that without having to have anything in return from anybody, then that's super valuable. Yep. Anything that you do that can apply to.
Oh yeah.
Now, one thing I'd like to point out, like if you had to say what accounts for the majority of the results, would you say that volume plays an enormous part of getting better in that domain?
As with anything, the more that you do something, the better you get. Like there's a book, Mastery. I forget who the author was.
Robert Greene.
Yeah, they get really into that. Like they'll say you need like 10,000 hours of something to be super proficient at it. Or if somebody that has like a black belt, that just means that they've had that much time dedicated to learning whatever it is. So you can be at a high level of whatever it is, the more that you do it. So volume's always going to help. Like if you're in your 40s and you're dating and you've been dating like your whole life, you're going to be a lot more knowledgeable. Like when you see certain stuff pop up, you'll be like, okay, well, that's this. Whereas like when you're a teenager, everything is new and you kind of like freak out. Like analogy that I heard was like, if somebody's like a brand new pilot and they hit turbulence, they're going to freak out and overreact towards stuff, and that might end up bringing the plane down, versus somebody that's been like a commercial airline pilot hits a little bit and they're just like, oh, okay, boop, 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 cool.
Yeah. No, I just think I have this hypothesis, and I ran it by Matt a few weeks ago. It finally like dawned on me that volume is the most under talked about component of progress. Because we immediately want to go towards like, oh, well, here's the slight thing that I did, or here's how I pinched my shoulder blades back for a bench press, and that's what helped me get to the next, all that kind of stuff. Because that sounds really cool. It's a little complex, and it's nuanced, and it's not like you hear that every day. But the reality is, it seems like to me, whenever I reverse engineer some sort of success or progress, the thing that I've dramatically underestimated was just the sheer volume. Now, of course, you got to have the fundamentals down, but it seems like typically it's like doing things the right way for the right amount of, doing the right things for the right way for the right amount of time. And that volume component, man, it's enormous. Like I think I said on the cast one time I did the math on why Kobe Bryant was better than me at basketball. And
took so many shots.
Yeah. Well, I mean, literally I calculated by the time we had reached, I guess, like our early 20s, he had played 3,600 more games than I did, like full games, you know? So yeah, then you just extrapolate like the amount of shots that he's taken. It's like, it would be disrespectful for me to think that I could be better than him if he's played that many more games than I have. You know, so what I hear in your, let's say in your pickup artist conversation is, I'm going to assume that you put in, and the peers that you're working with, the coaches, I'm going to imagine if they're real, right? I think a lot of people probably in that space, and a lot of similar spaces, just haven't done the real work. I'm going to assume if they're real, they've done it hundreds, if not thousands of times more than the average person.
Yeah, it's a really explosive topic too, because it's like, you know, it kind of contradicts a lot of the ways people want to think about that kind of endeavor. And it's like, and it almost could, you know, from the person who has been picked up could be like, well, what the fuck? Like, this is a technique, and yeah, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's more or less just kind of like helping people, if they're doing it properly and not being sinister about it, it's just helping people kind of get outside of their shell. And I think it probably helps. It probably translates to other domains too, with like, you know, I'm sure like work, like anything you desire, it helps trying to like rip down that weird pressure around those things that kind of, you know, creates unwanted behaviors.
Yeah, it's really just because a lot of the times people get the idea of what that kind of stuff is. They think of Mystery or the guy that had the show on VH1. And this is like early 2000s.
Right.
The way that I describe that, that's like describing a Commodore 64 versus the computers that are out today. Like, it's evolved so much at this point. There's been so much growth in that field, and people have changed so much that it's more like you're letting people express themselves openly and honestly, and also teaching them how to understand the emotions that they're making other people feel, or whatever other people feel, and understanding that in a way that if you're going out and trying to communicate with people, you're not making them feel weird. You're not like pushing yourself onto people too hard. Like, if anything, I think it helps stop like sexual assault or things of that nature, where people want an outcome really bad and they'll do anything to get it, versus being able to understand somebody, where they're coming from, and able to create win-win situations a lot easier, if that makes sense.
Hell yeah. No, absolutely, man. I think it's that's a nice, I think that's just a good way to move about in general. It's just, you know, like you said, it gets lumped under the mystery. It was just like, if I wear this belt and tap this girl's left shoulder, she will leave with me.
Yeah, it's easy to be dismissive about it, because most people don't want to do the hard work. Like, going back towards like the volume stuff, they want an easy excuse for why they can't do something, because they want to be dismissive about it, when in reality, to be somebody that's like a pickup artist, or to be somebody that's high level at whatever, they have to put in the work. And it's easier to say that, oh, this person just did this or that. And it's harder to admit, okay, this person put in time and effort and worked at this and was able to achieve that. I could do that in my own life, but in order for me to do that, I would have to admit that I'm being a bitch, and I don't want to do that. I would rather just say, well, that person's wrong for doing whatever.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, so we kind of, I guess we covered that, and I always found that fascinating. Every time you brought that stuff up, you know, and it's always, again, it crosses a bunch of different like dimensions. I've always been like, damn, this is fucking awesome. I also have this weird fantasy of you being able to like sit in a bar by yourself comfortably, which I'm always like, that's fucking awesome, dude.
Dude, Eckhart Tolle, if you ever get a chance, The Power of Now, the audiobook of that is, there's a lot of really, really deep things where he talks about like just being able to sit and be cool. Like, when you're in line at the DMV or something, you should be able to just be cool, just being, not needing anything, not, you know what I mean? No matter what, just being like, all right, I'm awesome.
Yeah,
life is awesome.
I practice, dude. So I take a walk. I again, my daily schedule is always kind of a work in progress, but right now it's kind of shaped out where it's, you know, I wake up, I wait for Maya to wake up, and I do kind of like my more like spiritual kind of reading. Like I'm reading about more like personal development, stuff like that, spiritual stuff. So like as soon as I wake up, I read for whether it's an hour, whenever she wakes up. There's something I can do and enjoy. And then, like, you know, if the babysitter's here, I'll kind of get a breakfast together. I'll meditate. And then after I meditate, I'll do like a long meditative walk. And it's like, you know, the first 3 hours of my day are kind of geared towards exactly what you just described, guys. And to be able to like sit almost at all times and be like, I'm good. And then work out of that, rather than being like, and getting like myself spun out on that weird thing where I'm not good and I need this and that and da-da-da. And it's like, you know, and again, I don't go for perfection in that realm, but I would say like being able to take a walk for like, you know, I'll take a walk for like an hour and just try to, it's not like I don't try to not think, because it's like, that's like, you know, that's thinking in itself. I just see if I can not think and just purely enjoy the movement of walking and just taking in everything around me. And it's like, that is translated to different situations that usually cause me anxiety in massive ways. So.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. And then Kaizen, also wanted to throw it out to you. The original reason why I sent that message on Discord was because I think you said you just dropped $8,300 on your license. And I wanted, if you can, speak to that, because I think one thing in terms of making progress is having the balls to invest in yourself. At some point, we all hit a ceiling, and it's going to require extra resources, whether it be in the form of money, time, etc. So you dropped a significant amount of money on your career. So if you could walk us through that, and if the guys are sitting on the edge, it's like, you know, hell yeah, you need to be doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's been kind of a common theme throughout my life, is investing in myself. Like when I was 20, I bought a house, and I had what a lot of people would think is like what you want to work for your whole life to have. And I got that kind of stuff, and I was like, this doesn't make me happy. I found a lot more value in learning, spending the money to get the experience, go places, like learn from that experience. And most of the time, if I want to do something, I have to have, they say like you have to have some skin in the game for you to be motivated to do something. if you're like using free resources, you can definitely learn from that kind of stuff. But when you actually spend money that you've had to work to get on something, you value it a lot more than if you're just going out and trying to like read stuff for free. So if something specifically that I know is going to further my career and something that I know that I'm going to be able to use literally for the rest of my life as using a pilot's license, I had no question that I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. It's going to, like, I had to do a recertification for my drone license this year, and they have you take the test with the FAA. There were certain parts of it where I was like, this is more applicable towards like airplanes. Why don't I just keep going instead of like learning what I already know? Because that's kind of boring. I'd rather just continuously grow, continuously evolve, and just keep building off of that. If I want to do like my ultimate goal, which is to fly planes and aircrafts on other planets, like I think that'd be cool. I don't think that's
it'd be a little cool.
Out of the realm of possibilities.
Dude, God damn it. I mean, dude, I was like, yeah, man, drone flying around the sky. You're going, you want to go, Interstellar, which, fuck, dude. I mean, as you were saying all that, I'm like, there's the thing. It's like, that's, everyone like, oh, I'm going to get the house. I'm going to get to this. I think kind of what you're tapping into, Kaizen, which I agree with, is, again, just getting more into the process of, like, your self-development and being like, I'm flying drones, which is cool as fuck. Like, that's cool as shit. That's an awesome thing, but be like, I need to fly planes next. And it's like, God damn, dude, that rule's even harder. And it's, again, breaching the atmosphere. Now it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, man.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. What do you call it, Matt? Your epic?
Yeah, it's epic mode, dude.
Epic
It's
mode.
epic mode.
Yes.
Epic mode. I mean, flying is epic mode to be safe, and then you just raise the ball literally to outer space. And now I'm like, fuck, dude.
I had an experience a long time ago where I got basically dosed with LSD, and I had this experience of like where it melts you down. Everybody always has that like we are one kind of realization stuff, and this for me was like, why? It was like a hour-long thing of just thinking, being like, why do people give a fuck about like this plot of dirt and this plot of dirt when there's an entire universe and galaxy of billions and billions of other planets and resources and stuff, and we're humans? Why not just be humans and conquer the galaxy that way? And we're using that like competitive need to conquer this part of your monkey brain and applying that towards a bigger scale and stop thinking so small and like really kind of harness that. And I think that would kind of dissolve a lot of the little stupid bullshit that we worry about.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's what Musk is about too, and Bezos are like hot to get into space. So dude,
they are hot to get into space.
Dude, I think that fucking rules, man. That's a sick. It's also, damn, I didn't know who dosed you. Do you ever figure that out?
Yeah, and
yes, I did.
Yeah, that gets real deep. I have a little bit of that. If you look up, it's called the Car Crash Podcast. I talked about it, but that's like a 2-hour story. I don't really want to get into right now.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's good you had a cool experience out of a pretty sinister situation. That's a mean thing to do to someone, especially like a heavy. That seems like they hit you pretty heavily too. If you started being like, I need to go to fucking space, dude.
Yeah, it was deep. There's a lot of like. That's when I started learning about the occult and the OCCULT, not cult. Sure. Hidden knowledge, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, dude, that's damn, dude, your life just gets more and more interesting the deeper we delve, dude.
Yeah, what do you think the principles are, Kaizen? And what Kaizen means, constant improvement, right? Basically, that's so I assume that's one of your principles. Are there any other principles that you live by?
That's like probably honestly one of the biggest ones. Just trying to be the best version of myself in a way that it sets an example for other people to have permission to do the same. I don't want to judge anybody else based off of what I might see or have any kind of like ill intentions for other people, because most people, I mean, I guess everybody grew up as like a little kid, and that's how you should probably look at other people, as like a little kid that doesn't really know any better. They just kind of got bigger. You figure that there's so much information and data in the world that your brain is like one of those early 2000 flip phones as far as like how much memory you can store, and there's that much more stuff out there, so there's no way you can understand everything, and just kind of being patient with everybody in that kind of respect.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, man. Dude, told you Kaizen ruled. I'm so excited to finally get him on. I feel like Kaizen's real low key enlightened and just keeps it real close. It's just like, yeah, whatever, no big deal. Like I was just reading a book the other night, and they said that exact thing that he's just saying. Just be patient with everyone. Try to constantly self-expand. Be like, it's all good, dude. You know, you're doing the
I think I forget what book it was, but maybe it was like How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think it was that one that basically said, you know, every man has something to teach you, and that has really helped me. And Ray brought up earlier this morning on our scorecard team the idea of mentorship and so on. And I think it's, for me, it's more like we all have patterns that we have done that have been successful or not successful. So why not teach each other those patterns? You know, and that's why that we call this a circle, not a triangle. You know, it's you know, Kaizen Roger might have a pattern that he figured out. Say, hey, share it with the team. You might have a pattern that you figured out. Share it with the team. There's no reason it needs to be tyrannical or guru-ish, because that shit drives me crazy. You know, it's like we all need a team to be successful. There's just no getting around it. So Kaizen Roger, I appreciate you posting everything that you do, and really embodying all of the principles that you talked about today. And it's just cool to have you on the squad, man. It motivates me seeing your stuff. Makes me feel like a bitch in a lot of ways, which is a good thing. Yep. And I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys. You guys really helped me step it up. And I think it's really inspiring to see other people doing that too, because that's kind of hard to find. Like you have to specifically go out and look for guys that are pushing themselves and going out and crushing it and being honest with themselves and have like an uplifting environment. And what you guys made is super awesome.
That's super cool, man. Yeah. Well, I mean, as much as I appreciate that compliment, the compliment goes to you and to everyone else, because I think the coolest thing that we all have built together is it's really hard. And I'm sure, you know, you probably feel the same way. I've seen this, I assume, like in the personal development world, there's a lot of fluff and salesmanship and all this stuff that doesn't really emphasize the true path, which is like hard work. And then failure, right? It dramatically underemphasizes the rate of failure is enormous. Like the percentage of failure is enormous. So that's why we need a team where somebody can say, where I can say, hey man, dude, I failed on this. And where everybody else is like, yeah, get over it. Right. Let's go. Like, you know, that's good. You failed, which makes you one step closer to the success. So it's just cool that we all have built this squad on here, that we can have such transparency and such support for each other. And at the same time, there's a cooperative competitiveness, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, and also it's like, again, like the thing you're talking about, Wes, is more of like the like corporatized, like that whole like pyramidal structure of like you were saying, personal development endeavors, forces like a person to try to create a almost like unrealistic picture of themselves, where they're like, no, I have it all figured out, I'm perfect.
Yep.
But I really feel like, you know, we all have our, you know, things that are good, and I think our flaws run just as deep. It's just you kind of don't want to see them. So I think that's why it's cool to have more like a circular kind of decentralized thing, where it's like, hey, here's something I figured out that kind of works for me, but I know that there's also 40 other things I'm doing that probably don't. And it's like, oh, I saw you doing a thing that kind of fits into that thing where I'm kind of lacking. And I just, you know, I think that's just a good way to move.
Yeah, the guru who's up on stage who pretends like he's got everything, but then if you were to look at his bank account or look at his marriage, whatever that is, and that's okay to have those things, like that's a normal thing, but to claim that you don't or imply that you don't and you've got it all figured out, like to me, I don't know, it just turns me off. I'd much rather sit in a room with you guys and have somebody say, hey, I did this, it was successful. Not because of my own ego, but because I did the things that somebody else taught me and it works. So you guys should try it too. And that's just the beautiful thing about all this. And Kaizen Roger, like you embody all of that. So I appreciate it. You know, I don't know, Matt. I mean, you think golden buzzer again is applicable in this situation?
I believe so. Oh, he said.
See, he doesn't even want to take it, which makes it even more golden buzzer-esque, you know?
Well, then I'll take it to the polls.
I want to I got 2 nominations for this week. I think Gunther and Troy were two big ones. Troy shaved his head for the first time, which
Rules.
that's a big fucking change.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Troy says I'm getting a little drunk with the golden buzzer power. Yeah, it is it's very intoxicating. It is very intoxicating. Completely agree.
I'm gonna post it up right
now. So
anyone else wants to toss themselves up, obviously throw me a thing. Right now I got Gunther, Troy, Kaizen. And oh god, Gunther is going up. Kaizen is going up. Let's see what's going on.
Can somebody give me an update on Gunther? Because I've been keeping up. I know he's going on dates and doing all that stuff. If somebody wouldn't mind giving me a quick update on him.
I think he's got a date tonight.
Yeah, is he crushing it? Like Kaizen, what would you say one of the reasons that you're nominating him?
He posted some gym stuff this week that was honestly like was awesome. It inspired me to keep going and crushing it. He's doing like 6 44-minute miles, which is insane.
That's pretty good.
Like to start, like from nothing, under 7-minute mile, blasting couple at a time, then going and doing deadlifts at like 360 something, 370.
Nice. Yeah, he's a beast, man. He's really a beast.
Yeah, I also tossed up Delco Gym as well. So he's up there as well. But yeah, dude, no. Gunther's just kind of crushing it on all levels. Troy always crushing it on all levels. I'm not bragging. This week I finally knocked a bunch of stuff off my to-do list. Rejoined a gym. Got my computer tower set up fully, not even just ordered, but fully set up, which I hate fucking cleaning and do it. It required me to like clean my basement, totally rearrange it. I hate doing stuff like that. And yeah, man, it's been, again, this group helps center me to like not drag stuff out forever and be like, oh, well, that's just how I am. I take it. No, it's just like constantly banging stuff out. So
yeah, celebrating all those things that push everything forward is really where the progress is made. Yeah. Every once in a while, it's a cool thing that pops out or something like that. Like you got a big date or blah blah blah. But it's like all of those things, that connective tissue to get you to the next little milestone, man. That's what pushes the boat, man. So that's awesome, especially the computer tower thing, man. Like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
If you think about how much computers provide value, like this megaphone, like it's like once you put your voice inside that computer, boom, all of a sudden you get this exponential result. Fucking awesome.
Man. It's fun. It's just fun to keep, growing and developing and kind of launching into new territories. We have somewhat of a 3-way tie, dude.
Oh.
We got a 3-way tie.
Oh.
We got Troy, Kaizen, Delco Gym.
Oh.
Tied. People are hating because Gunther's getting too much buzz. So I'll say either the next vote swings it or I'll call it a 3-way tie. So I'll give it 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, Kaizen pulled away. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, bro. He pulled away.
He didn't want to accept it. He didn't want to accept it.
I'm so sorry. Damn. And then
that's what you get for being a gentleman, sir.
Yep. Whatever's yours, give it away. If it comes back to you, it's truly yours.
That's right. Dudes, right, Kaizen, awesome. Like I said, awesome illustration of what it means to be a man, a valuable man on the path of progress. Thank you, brother.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, guys.
All right, dudes. Have a great weekend.
Later.